Started, and well, I guess we start by welcoming everybody to Fusing Friday. I don't even know what today's date is. Oh, February 25th. So hello and welcome.
And I want to thank everybody who sent me ideas and pictures because we got some really good things to add today. So that was very helpful. Thank you. Thank you.
Yay.
And the most creative tip or trick is our very last one. And it's a wild one. And I just love it.
I like that. Oh, I had one I should have added and I didn't even think about it.
We can talk about it and Jenny's going to take notes so that I can stick them on in the end.
Okay. Okay, then remind me at the end, say, hey, Kat, what was your tips and tricks? It only works in Colorado or cold weather, but oh, hold on. It's showing on that screen. Let me hide it so nobody can see it. There it is. All right. And I'll just see if this works. Here we go. Ready to go, Ken?
Yeah.
Let me minimize the people. And play. And here we go. Can you see it?
Yes.
Love it.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
So this is something we've been talking about and thinking about for a while, and I've been collecting ideas and people have been sending me stuff. And when Kirsten was here, we had a few discussions about it. So these are not just from me, but I'm actually going to start employing a few of them because there's good stuff here.
Cool. All right.
This is my #1 go-to trick. I mix my bullseye glues. The gel, when I buy it, seems to be very, very thick and sludgy, and glass tack, the pink stuff, is watery. And so I mix them together and they give me something that's got a little bit of tack, but it doesn't take forever to dry and it's not like water. But I've also noticed that as my glass tack gel sits on the shelf, it gets thinner. Does anybody else see that with their old jars or bottles of glass tack? It seems like it's got a shelf life and it gets thin as it gets older. So my older containers, I don't have to do this with, but when it's new and it's really jelly, then I mix the two of them.
That's a good idea.
I heard that it would get thinner. You would think the liquid would dissipate, so it would actually get thicker, not thinner.
Yes, you would think.
It goes so quickly at the studio, I couldn't tell you. So
Yeah.
Right. When you mix red and blue together, do you get purple?
Kinda.
Uh-oh.
Lavender?
Let's say it's Jenny's perfect glue then.
So Jenny, you have to try this.
Do you mix it in equal parts?
Yes. Or until the consistency is right for you.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Sure.
Ready for the next one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is similar to a brush that Lori brought into Helios over the summer last year. And it's not the exact same manufacturer, but this is a similar thing. And Jerry's Artorama carries these in different widths. And this link goes to the page that shows you all the different widths. And I'm showing you the really fat one. And I think it's 8 inches across. It's a big, beefy brush.
Ooh.
And Kirsten has purchased this brush just recently. And so you can cover half your shelf in one swipe. And she said that she did shelves with multiple layers and she lost a total of 2 or 3 hairs. So they're very not shedding. And for that, I love it. It's an amazing brush. And I've only used the big fat one, but it's not inexpensive. I think that this is like a $30 brush, but you'll never buy another brush.
That's
and
cool.
You won't be picking hairs off of your surface.
Nice. Did you see Melina did a kind of a speed, I guess this, what would you call that? A speeded up video of her preparing a shelf.
She did? How did I miss that?
Yeah, we should have put that up because she basically, she showed scraping the shelf and then her pattern for applying the kiln wash and sped it up. It's actually really cute.
Excellent. I will find that.
Yeah, maybe on her Facebook page. You ready for the next one?
Yep.
Okay.
And then this is another one from Lori. and it's brilliant. I haven't tried it yet because I haven't scraped, but mist your shelf down with fine spray of water so that your kiln wash doesn't become airborne, which
That's-
is super, super smart. I'm going to try it.
Yeah, definitely. And always wear that mask.
Yes.
Before you're going to use it?
No, I would say just anytime you're doing anything with a kiln shelf, wear a mask. But
No, I mean the misting.
This is when you're scraping.
When you're scraping.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
that is an excellent one.
Yeah, it's a really good one.
Oh,
And this is a trick that I learned when I was doing my high fire work. Those were fairly thick slabs. They were maybe up to an inch thick. And I was having a devil of a time when you get to the end of your cut and you're going really, really slowly toward the very end. It seems to be a regular problem where you get a chip on the bottom of the glass. Yes, yes. Anna is shaking her head. Yes. And I was doing this when a friend was visiting and he has some carpenter skills and he says, oh, this is how we solve that. So he had me mark the cut and then be sure that the mark went down onto the small side of the surface so that I could see where it is on all surfaces. And then cut it until you're about an inch and a half away from your edge, and then flip it around. And then you start again from the uncut edge and you make your cuts meet in the middle. Well, not in the middle, you make it meet an inch in or so. And you're probably going to have a little tiny bit of roughness there, but it's easier than trying to get rid of the chip you're going to get if you don't do this.
that's a great idea.
And it is brilliant. It works like a charm. And I have gotten really good at lining up my second cut so that it meets my first cut practically perfectly.
That's a great idea.
So if you do thick slabs, give this a shot. I have also heard Jeremy Lepisto talk about cutting thick slabs, and I haven't tried this and I haven't seen him do it, but he puts his tile saw set so that the blade does not go all the way through. He tries to save just a tiny millimeter of glass between the blade and the underside. And then when he makes his cut, then he breaks it along that cut and he gets a cleaner slice that way.
Wow.
I've never seen it done.
Yeah.
But if it works for Jeremy Lepisto, you know, enough.
It's good enough for the rest of us.
Exactly. I keep forgetting to try it.
Kim, did you do the illustrations there?
Yes.
Love it. Oh, I love these.
These bead containers come in all kinds of sizes and shapes and numbers of drawers and sizes of drawers. And if you need to sort your dots, which I do, this is a great way to do it.
You know, the cool thing too on this particular kit, so you can get it where it has these little tiny containers, but there's also other sizes because I use these for seed beading. And so that's what all my colors are in. But then you can buy the little containers that are double or triple or quadruple height, and you can mix and match. And basically these come out and it's a really nice set. I think is it Doris?
I don't know.
But I have this.
Yeah, they're one of the big organizations, Brent, and I think Joanne and stuff.
Yeah. Hey, hold on one sec. I'm going to mute everybody. I forgot to do that a moment ago, but got some background noise. So let me go ahead and mute. And then Kim, don't forget unmute.
Okay.
So I'm going to mute all. Okay. And then Kim, unmute.
Okay.
Perfect. And let me go back to this guy. There we go. All right.
I love containers like this.
I do too. It's an
I
obsession.
love buying containers like this.
Let me see. I'm looking it up right now.
I intend to keep myself organized with things like this, but it never really works. All I have is more containers.
Yeah, it is on this one too. It's Doris. It's an 82-piece Elizabeth Ward bead container is what this one is.
Ooh, can you pop that up?
I can actually, hold on, let me get out of this one and I'll bring it up in, let's see. Whoops.
While Kim's looking that up, I'm at a stop signal. These things, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Target, there's 3 of them for $2. And thanks to Kevin Parrish, or
Richard.
Richard Parrish, I am a sample making fiend. And for 3 of these for $2, they're fabulous.
Nice.
Keep your eyes on the road.
Okay.
Right, are you at a stop
driving,
sign, young lady?
Driving, bye.
And I would be curious what they're doing in your car, Kirsten. Okay, let's see. I'm going to find this real quick. Here it is. Okay, got it. Let me share the screen. Okay, so this is what that container is. And if you look at this version of it, it's a very same version, but you can see here that it has the different sizes.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. And you can see I last purchased it in 2017. But what's nice is they have different options. So the one that you just showed was the 82 piece, which has all the little ones. But, you know, if you go to the 45 piece one, then this is the one with the variations.
That's so smart.
Or, yeah, or you can buy the individual containers.
Oh, and mix and match.
Yeah, so see here, it's buying the medium containers, for example. So you can mix and match and use whatever that you like. Or you can buy the container empty.
Yeah.
So it's just the tray. And then you mix and match with the different inserts.
I really need something for my dots.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, it says currently unavailable, but you know, you could get these other ones and get it prime and get it fast. So
Very cool.
yeah, I love it. Okay, here we go. Back to the presentation.
Hey, and this is Laurie. I don't know if this is in the PowerPoint, but another great bead storage are those hanging jewelry containers that are flat. And so they don't take up very much room, and they have about the same size of space for beads and stuff.
Oh, cool.
Are they the same thing that people use to put their earrings into, Lori?
Yeah. They're like, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And I
That would
use
be
this one, I actually use this one in jewelry making too. So like when we talked about findings, I'll use these for things like earring posts and jump rings, rhinestones, stuff like that, you know, cubic zirconia. So it's just kind of a really great all-purpose container.
They also work well for freeze and fuse elements if anyone does those.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a great idea too. So, or even
And they always work for other stuff,
yeah. And
lots of other stuff.
the tray is pretty shallow. It's maybe an inch wide, or I'm sorry, an inch deep or so. So it's fairly shallow. Those containers are pretty small, but it's nice. Okay, you ready for the next one?
Well, if you have more than an inch thick of dots, you got a problem.
That's a lot of dots.
That's a lot of dots. It's more
Oh
than
yeah,
This
So
is brilliant.
this
This
is
is
brilliant.
brilliant.
this is from Kirsten, who snitched the idea from a girlfriend of hers. And I think we all have this problem on occasion.
Wow.
Brilliant.
I had the problem, but I just didn't use the circle cutter anymore.
We can see you smiling, Kirsten.
I'm going to visit the friend who came up with that idea. I'm going to tell her she's famous.
Yeah, she's famous, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Famous to 10 people.
That's all it takes.
What? We've
We
got
live in a
26
powerful world.
today. It's awesome trick. So,
Yeah.
okay, ready for the next one?
Yep. So this is just a little manual sweeper that Paul said is great for picking up powder off of your floor. It's good for bits that you have dropped. It will pick up everything and anything. And that's all I need to know.
And I think this one may be rechargeable.
That I don't know.
Yeah, at first I thought it wasn't electrified. Well, this is the link, right?
Yeah, I hope so.
I know, right? Okay, hold on. I'm gonna put it back over here. Inquiring minds must know. Love that Kirsten's still driving.
I know it. I'm trying to turn my volume off. Can you do it? I'm at a stop signal, but
Oh, you're good. You're good.
It is rechargeable. I ordered one.
Oh, did you?
Of course.
I love
Like
it.
right now?
No. A couple of weeks ago.
Right? And look at that, 50 minutes run time. You can get it in gray or in powder white.
And it's
then
on sale.
30% off.
And the gray
Which-
runs longer.
Which the gray will turn, the white will turn to gray after a while.
Yeah, that's a bonus feature.
Right?
Yeah, right.
See? Okay, here we go. That's funny. I lost the presentation. Let me find it.
It's very green where Kirsten is, and it's still light outside.
Yeah.
no, life is good.
Okay. Hold on one sec. I think when I click the link, I messed something up. So there we go.
What are all the goodies in the back of your car, Kirsten?
Oh, it was all my organizer units I got at Target, and I'm spending the night, and the rest of it, I was at a shop picking up old work and delivering new work. So
Oh, very
it's the
cool.
road show this weekend.
Cool.
Cool.
Although I think I have, I've had Kirsten highlighted and spotlighted. I forgot to turn it off. Here we go. Okay, there we go. I love it. If Paul loves this, we love it. So if you buy one, report back and let us know. All right, Kim.
I love the condiment cups because I mix a lot of powders and I just mark them with a little Sharpie and I have my powder mixture there. And I also put dots in these. And I'm finding out that my cat loves to take them off my work table and play ping pong.
Oh,
The empty ones, not the full ones.
aw.
But yeah.
Fill
there's-
one with catnip.
yeah. Don't encourage him, Gail.
Yeah, train the cat to do that.
And
So,
these are so inexpensive too.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think 100 of them is like $12 or something like that.
right?
And that'll last you a century.
Yeah.
Now, Kim, you forgot there was another use for these though, unless it's later on. Do you have these for another use?
I don't.
Okay, you flip them over and put your piece of glass on them while you're dusting powders.
I didn't even think of that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Like empty yogurt containers.
Right.
Yeah, basically, but on these you can, I would take the lid off because then the lid cap, that little lip catches your powders. But if you just take them and flip them over, they make a really good support for applying powders or even screen printing underneath.
And when you buy them, the lids aren't on them anyway. You have to
No.
assemble them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've even seen them used for casting to apply like the foot on the bottom of your mold, just like you would use yogurt containers. You could use these also.
Mm.
Very cool. All right.
Or empty ice cream containers.
Oh, that is a good one.
Yes. Yes.
That is a good one.
It's
And I would
recyclable
say-
plastics.
Yeah, recycle these because they end up in our waterways. So definitely reuse as much as you can. And I love this.
These little holders turned up in our trip to IKEA from a few months back. Maybe it was been almost a year now, but magazine holders, really, really nice for your hard to store in between, not big, not small pieces of glass go in these very nicely.
Yeah. I like the little window on these. Not all of them have a window.
Mhm. I put all my yellows in one, my greens in one, my blues in one.
Organization. What
I
is
know.
what is that? So, all right. Oh, the spice pen.
Spice pen. Everybody needs a spice pen. If you work with powder at all, it allows you to put a nice line down. I love it. It's inexpensive, and this is turned up in our oh, what did we do before? It was gadgets. This turned up in our gadgets Fusing Friday a year and a half ago or so. But it's great fun.
I like that one. Okay. So.
And
Oh.
then when you mess up with your powder and you need to remove some of it, but you don't want to take all of it off, this dandy little vacuum will take out a fine line of powder. It is fabulous. It's one of my favorite things in my studio.
Mm.
Just
you-
remember to empty the container often.
Yes, but you know what I figured out, Gail, is
What?
that if you just point nozzle down and give it a little shake, it will fall out and you don't have to try to wrestle that cap off. It will just
Yeah.
shake out.
Well, they should have included that in the manual
You would think.
because they knew they were building it for powder.
I know it. And there are different kinds of earwax vacuums. I know that Manny is really fond of the one that you hold like a pen. It's not as comfortable in my hand as this, but if you go to Amazon and look for earwax vacuums, you'll be amazed at how many things there are to look at.
That reminds me too.
Like, who knew?
Yeah.
These
This
are also a little bit, have a stronger vacuum than the pen one does.
I think so too, Lori.
Yeah.
It's just a better fit on my hand.
Cool. Oh, ready?
And I got this from Carrie Schooler. She has a baker's rack and she uses the baker's rack to organize her work. So she sorts her projects on the racks. And she's kind of got a production line going. And so she will put everything together that goes in one kiln, everything together that goes into another kiln. But you can sort your projects or your pieces or your in progress work, you know, however you wish, but she uses almost like a file cabinet.
Do you think they're the same size as the one that Helios uses?
That
Yes.
I don't,
Yes, they're the same size. And they're also really good for, they come in half sizes. So if you don't have room for a tall one, and also they're really great. The trays come separately. You have to buy the trays separately, but they're great for mold storage.
Oh, cool. Cool idea.
Because you can do a tray every other slat and you can get a lot of molds in these things.
that's a great idea.
I've also seen people buy the roasting pan instead of the flat tray. It's not really a roasting pan, and put their Vitrograph pulls in it.
Oh.
So is the
So-
roasting pan taller?
They use a,
No, they make them just for this rack. It's not really a roasting pan. It's
it's got deeper
Cookie?
side,
cookies. I don't know.
deeper sides.
Yes.
Jelly roll pan.
What's really good for Vitrograph are those under the bed storage things. They could be shoes, I'm not sure, but they have rollers on them and the whole top comes off, but they're really long. And they're only about, I don't know, maybe 6 inches deep,
So they can
but
go
they're
under the bed.
long for really long pulls.
That's a good idea. Especially if they have the wheel on them to roll them in and out.
Yeah, they're under bed storage.
Right, right.
Oh, nice. Cool. Okay, you ready?
Yes. I forget who we were talking to when we
Yes.
mentioned washing frit and they'd never heard of that. If you've never heard of washing your frit, wash your frit. You'll be amazed at the difference because the dust that settles on the frit occludes the clearness of your transparent frit and makes it cloudy and just not as sparkly, not as transparent. So stick it in a strainer and run it under the tap. And I've actually heard of people washing their powder, but I think that's a little extreme.
Okay.
You'd have to have a very fine screen to do that with. Very,
Um,
very fine screen.
You know who
There's
told me
actually-
about, you know
Oh, go
who
ahead.
told me about this was Stephanie Clay, and she used a piece of cheesecloth
Oh, that'll do it.
Oh,
Yeah.
to wash these or to wash powders?
to wash powder.
The
I
other
Probably,
thing,
probably several layers of cheesecloth.
yeah.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah.
Another thing you can do is there are actually I should just add this to mine at the end. There's a Melita, I think, drip coffee maker that you can get at the store. It's probably $10. And it has, like the coffee filter holder on the top. And you can
The
actually
ones
wash.
you used to do a single brew with them on top of your coffee cup?
Yes, you can use
Yeah.
that for washing powders as well.
Well, that's a
Like
good
if you
idea.
were trying to, anyway.
I
there's
didn't know
ways that you
Melita
can-
was, I didn't even know Melita was still around anymore with K-cups.
Yeah, you can still buy it. So anyway, hold on. Let me write this down real quick, just so I can find it. Melita filter.
That's
Okay.
how I make my coffee every morning.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. And I did a little video. I've actually got a video on YouTube on how to wash enamels. It's essentially the same thing with powders if you're trying to get like the most clarity. But the other thing too, if you're just doing a small amount of washing your frit, you can also use those little cups that you just showed too, Kim. Those little bitty cups. Those are good for washing frit as well.
I think this one's a little bit from the spice pen time, but somebody else that talked online is saying, have you ever tried the sugar writer? I've never heard of a sugar writer.
Oh,
There seems to be something.
I'll look.
I have one of those too. It makes a fatter line.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's okay for fine, but it's not nearly as accurate as the spice. And if you put a little piece of masking tape over the tip of the spice one and poke a little pinprick, you can get a really, really fine line.
Interesting. That gives me another thought too.
Bless you.
Huh. I don't know
Excuse
if
me,
that would
thank
work
you.
or not. But the tips that you use on a 3D printer, actually, they're in different millimeters. So you can get like a 1 millimeter, 0.8 millimeter, 0.6 millimeter, and you could possibly even glue that onto the tip of something else. So I'll write that down, but hold on. So it's
I'm getting it down, Kat.
What's that?
I'm writing that one down.
Okay, cool. Yeah, 3D print nozzle. And the only reason I say that is because there's specific sizes, and you can get a kit that's a range of sizes that would have all of them. And they're cheap, super cheap. Okay, you ready?
So this is a tool that I have used as a graphic designer, and you're probably not going to run out and buy a graphic design tool, but you could put text or handwriting or something and go down to Kinko's and have them make you a transparency. And then you can sit that on your glass to figure out what black line work is going to look like on your glass. And Kirsten and I had a long discussion about this while she was here for Richard's class. And she was wondering, how do I get a feel for whether my background glass is too light or too dark to put line work on? And so I whipped this thing out and we just set it down and went, oh, you need lighter glass. There's not enough difference in the color. So this is something that I use, but you can make your own.
All right.
Kim, can you explain that a little
using-
bit more? I don't understand
I'll-
how this works.
This is
So I come back, I have a background in desktop publishing before there were computers.
Mhm.
And we use these tools all the time. Are you saying the black lines up on the top or on the scale down on the right side of the ease?
I'm saying that I just use this to set it down on a piece of glass to see what black lines look like.
Oh, and then you choose whatever
Yeah.
point size it is.
No, then I choose my glass color depending on whether everything is really clear and legible. So
Got it, I
it's
got it.
just a gauge for what does black enamel line work look like on any given color.
So how do you determine if your glass is not dark enough?
That is entirely up to you. That's an aesthetic decision. You know, how heavy are your lines going to be? How big are your lines going to be? Or your drawings, or how beefy is your image going to be? And you just have to figure out what is a good contrast for you. You know, it probably looked great on yellow, but maybe not so hot on gold green because the value of the gold green is darker. So it's just a tool to help you figure out what black looks like on different colors.
Cool.
But go down
So
to go down
you're
to Kinko's
mostly
and make
using
your
the
own.
right side. You're not using the left side of that ruler.
Correct.
Right. Do you think they still make these rulers?
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely. You can buy
I
it on
thought they
Amazon.
got
too.
put into time capsules.
You go dig them up, Gail.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Kat,
Yeah.
I'm at my destination, so I'm gonna have to sign off.
Okay.
But there's another thing that just occurred to me as I'm listening to you guys, and
Yeah.
it's my hack, which I call dial a friend. And it's kind of like the same of take a picture of your art with your camera and look at it as a photo.
Yes.
And even if that doesn't work, then I send a picture to a friend, and it's or the next step is what would Kim say about this
Uh-oh.
piece? What would he say about this piece? Out of the equation, and it frees my mind up.
I like that.
Okay, I gotta go, guys. Thank you so much for letting me interrupt, and I'll look for that presentation later.
Sounds good. We'll put
Okay,
it
bye.
up.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
I love her.
I know. You know, another thought on this one too is that you could get transparency film, but I know some of it's not that dark.
Mhm.
So if you run it through your laser printer, inkjet printer, it might give you an
Yeah.
idea,
Yeah.
but that's another possibility. But definitely this is going to be darker. All right, here we go.
These are not an inexpensive tool.
This is Lori's fault. She
This-
made me buy these.
This is Diane Sonnenberg's fault. And I kind of think of like Diane as I do Paul. If it's good enough for her, that's all I need to know. This is an investment. This is about $120, but the touch is so light. Your grip is not a heavy duty grip when you go to bear down on it. It's just a beautiful precision tool. And go ahead.
Well, like for someone with arthritis,
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
Or just weak-handed.
Right, right.
Right.
Or
It's got about 9 times the amount of torque that a regular nipper has. And it's also ergonomic so that you don't have to hold your wrist in a way that creates problems with multiple nips. It really is amazingly light to use, and you can adjust it in a lot of different ways.
And Diane nips all day long, and she loves these. And the best thing about this is that you see on the blades where there are little marks, you can rotate the blade to take your spent part of the blade out and just turn it so that you get a fresh part of the blade to work on. So
It's like on a glass cutter.
well, sort of.
On the circle cutter blades, I think that you move them around too to change out the old part.
Do you?
For
Yeah.
Lori? Yeah.
You can. I mean, there's
You know,
there's
the
some
one
that
that
are
you
like
had
that.
the one that you had those clips on?
No,
The
no,
blades
yeah.
on-
Yeah.
The blades on those, once one part's wear out, then you move it.
Hmm.
Can you see it if you go back to that? That's probably too hard.
What's that?
It has 6
Can you get back
points
to,
of rotation. This has, I think, 12.
Okay.
I don't know if you can get back to it. It's probably, you can buy the replacement blades too, so might be able to find it on Amazon or somewhere for that circle cutter
Okay.
that
Sadly,
Kim
these
had
are-
up at the beginning.
Okay.
sadly, these are out of stock.
These guys are out of stock.
Yeah, I just looked.
You know what? But if you're Lori's friend, she forces you to drive from Georgetown down to Blue Moon to buy them. Right, Lori?
Well, you got to call them to see if they have them, but I mean,
Right.
that's where I got mine, and you can get them online.
Support local
and-
business if you can.
Right.
Always support local business if you can.
But we don't stock them at Helios.
Yeah. That's nice.
I bought mine from a supplier on Etsy. And when I went to use their website for this, they were out too. So I had to kind of hunt around to find somebody who was able to have them in stock. And 3 days ago, this link was good and they had them on hand.
That's
Interesting.
good to know. Yeah.
Cool.
It really is. It is so worth the price.
How much are
And
they, Lori? About how much?
They're about 120. They run, depending upon what your source is, 120 to 140. I paid 120.
Okay.
But if you look at, so we have a Chopomatic at the studio,
Right.
which
Right.
is, what is that, Astral, where you put you clamp a regular
Tile nipper.
nipper, and then there's this long pipe that gives you leverage. Those run $125 too. So
But they're
this is
worth it
just so
too.
much more precision made. They're very well machined.
We should have shown them that one, Lori, the
The
gizmo you
Chopomatic,
attach to the workbench. Yeah.
yeah, the
because that-
Chopomatic.
when you're trying to cut that vitrograph into Murini, that comes in handy,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Good on the hands. Okay.
Yeah.
Ready for the next one?
Yes.
Okay, there we go.
I
So
saw this.
I use Elmer's glue to make lines with powder. And this is a little piece that I'm working on right now. And I just get up my Elmer's, draw a line, sift powder, dump it off, and into the kiln it goes.
This
Right,
is
say that again?
Is this pre-fired? Because it's still
Yeah.
puffy. It's still puffy, yeah.
Yes, pre-fired.
It's
Very
a cool idea.
Did you put it over powder?
No, I put
Sift the powder
powder on
over
top.
it.
sift the powder on
Oh,
top.
oh,
Yeah.
oh.
Draw with the glue and then powder it and shake the excess.
Yeah, so you put your glue down and then you powder it and wait a bit while it soaks it up. And then you put more powder on top so that you're getting as much powder into the glue as you can.
And
And
then
then-
you fire it and it comes out flatter.
And then you fire it and it comes out flat. And so Kat, the next one shows the little orange circle. That's what I got.
Interesting.
That is interesting.
I think there's some surface tension at play here.
So kind of
Or
depends on how high your fire and how much your glass moves. This flowed quite a bit, so the powder broke up. But a lot of times, if your glass does not move, you'll get a pretty crisp, clean line. So experiment with it. You know, Elmer's is cheap. I like the plain old regular Elmer's. I know other people are fond of the school glue or the blue glue. And I've tried this with glass tack and I don't like the results as much, but play around with it. It's a great way to get lines in a place where they might not really want to go.
Okay.
Do you fire it up
Yes,
and
Yeah.
it stays pretty crisp?
it can.
Doesn't,
Huh.
It depends
just
on
go-
what
it just
else
goes
is going on.
it just goes flat, Lori.
Because the glue's basically going to burn away. So
Right.
I know, but when you do powder or stringers on and you fire it up, they tend to go very wavy.
yeah,
They can. It
Yeah.
depends on how much your glass is going to move.
Yeah.
that. All right. You ready for the
Like
next
that.
one?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I have heard this one.
Really?
Well, I've heard this, but tell me why, or tell me what for.
It burns out the organic binding materials and it leaves you with just the refractory material. And so you are less likely to get divot.
I thought it was going to lead to divot.
Yeah.
Kim, why that temperature? Because I've always done it at 1100.
I'm trying to remember. I looked it up somewhere, Lori. I don't remember. Whatever it takes to turn it black and then turn it white again. That's just something I've always done. If you can do it for less, lower temperature by all means.
Yeah, I've pre-fired at 1100, so I'll have to see. I'll have to do it both ways and check again.
There was a time when Paul Tarlow was putting the thick fiber paper down in his big kilns and he would lay down his thin fire on top of that. And then after the load was fired, he would very carefully vacuum up the thin fire and use that fiber paper again. Roll it out with a big cardboard tube to flatten it, put down new thin fire on top of it, and roll and use it again. And he would get 6, 8, 10 uses out of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And never got divot at all, ever.
There's always going to be a little divot, Gail. There's just always going to be a little bit divot. Plus, he was using some thin fire, which is going to put carbon into the air.
Right.
There's
right.
also a way to reuse thin fire. And bullseye, thin fire tends to disintegrate, right? It turns to powder.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you've got a fairly large sheet of thin fire, you can take whatever piece of glass you have, put pressure in the middle of it, and kind of move it back and forth a little bit, but not try and pick it up. And once you move it back and forth a little bit, if you pick it up very carefully, the thin fire does not stick to your glass. It remains intact, and you can use thin fire again, that particular piece of thin fire again. I do it for drops all the time.
That's good to know. I have also used a product called Papyrus, which is
Yes,
a
yeah.
thin fire that is thicker, and I've gotten 5, 6 uses out of
Yep.
that. But it's a totally different product. It's something sort of in between fiber paper and thin fire.
And even if it got disturbed, there might be an area big enough for your next project that didn't get disturbed
Right,
Right.
on that you can put it on that area too.
right.
So Kim, if you were using this for kiln carving, would you cut the shape you wanted and then fire the shape of your fiber paper? Or would you fire the whole piece and then cut the shape?
That's a good question.
That's
We'll
why
get-
I asked it.
Yeah,
What Paul would do with kiln carving is he would cut the shape, make your kiln carve, fire the paper, and then put your glass on top of it.
So you just left it on the kiln shelf and then put your
Correct.
glass on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lori, is that something, does he cover that in his, because I know he has a kiln carving book?
I
Yep.
have that book.
It's in that. It's in that. That's where I got the 1100 degrees.
Okay,
It
gotcha.
was out of that book.
All right. Then we'll say recommending Paul's book on kiln carving, and it will be covered in there. So,
Good.
we actually recommend Paul's book on anything.
yeah,
Agree.
True.
We agree.
totally agree. It's got fantastic books. You ready for the next one?
So this is something I saw at Bullseye.
Hmm.
When I was working in their studio, they put WD-40 on the back of their magnetic discs before they put them away for the night.
Keep them from rusting.
Keep them from rusting, because when the discs rust, that impinges on your magnetic ability to keep the disc on the grinder.
Did you know that, Lori?
I did not know that. Thank you, Kim.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Should put it, you should put it on the, on your lap,
On the
your
lap.
lap grinder. You should put it on the middle disc on that, spray it on there and then run a cloth around after you use it. So you don't get rust on your lap wheel.
So you would do the discs and the wheel?
I just do the wheel. I don't do the
Oh,
disc.
okay.
But
And
now
that
I've
transfer,
seen- now
probably
I've
that
seen this, I
trans,
might.
so that probably transfers to the disc maybe. Are you just rusting on you?
No, not, my discs are not rusting.
So it's
I do
transferring
it
over,
to
it
keep-
sounds like. Yeah.
No, I just do it to keep the rust off of the
Oops.
lap, off the lap grinder.
Interesting.
It's good to know.
No, have you ever noticed that they get all kind of brown?
Yeah, they
Yes.
get grungy.
Yeah.
Yeah, just spray, hit it with WD-40 when you're done.
Spread it around with a shop towel or something. Yeah.
Correct.
Sounds good. Yeah, and I
Very
use,
good. Thank you.
one of the ones I use, there's a package, well, speaking of that, there's a package of painter's rags that's at Home Depot that works well for that. They're kind of like I find them to have very minimal lint. So it's just kind of a really, kind of a rough terry. So they're absorbent, but they don't have a lot of lint. And that's something I use a lot in the shop.
I just use the same rag over and over on the
Do-
lap.
Yeah,
it's
no,
just-
these are actually, they're fabric ones. So they're ones that you can use over and over, but their
Yeah.
painter's rags are pretty good for doing just pretty much everything around the shop. So.
They're
Yeah.
pretty lint.
I mean,
free.
once the rag gets full of WD-40, then you're in good.
You don't even
shape.
need to spray it anymore.
Well, you still need to spray it, but I just hang it up. It's my lap rag.
That's cool.
It's a good idea.
That is a good idea. All right, ready for the next one?
Mm.
There we go. Ah,
All right. So I was doing cold working last week and the week before, so I got some things to talk about. Who has problems when you go to the tile saw having your lines disappear? I have a trick for that.
Is it the white one?
Is
Go ahead.
It's a good trick.
okay.
It is good for.
So next one, Kat.
No, wait, no. Oh, I see. Okay. It's like, don't skip over it. I thought you were skipping over it.
So I hit those lines with the Dremel.
Dremel.
I've seen people do it with a cutting wheel, but I like the beefier line that the Dremel gives me. So I just hit my lines with the Dremel and then run over those with a Sharpie. Kat, next one.
Then it doesn't wash away.
And it doesn't wash away.
Yeah.
interesting.
But it will still burn away, won't it, Kim?
Well, I make sure to grind away every trace of it.
Oh, do you? Okay.
So, I'm like a 16th on the inside of this or so. I don't want any of that marker there because I don't know if it's going to burn away or not. Sometimes it
So-
does, and sometimes it doesn't.
Got it.
So a long time ago, Paul told me that he uses his glass cutter and just goes over it lightly and scribbles the Sharpie in that.
It's
And
hard
so,
for me to.
so it
that's
doesn't
hard
go
for me
away,
to
but I didn't succeed at that very well.
Well, it's a very fine line and it was really hard for me to see and it wasn't very
Yeah.
reliable about grabbing onto the ink and holding it. So the Dremel's just a little deeper, a little fatter of a line.
Lori, that's a cool idea. Lori, is your
Yes.
white paint included in this?
It's
Did you
my
give him the
what?
white paint tip? The paint you have me buy for the studio?
No, but it works really well. Obviously paint pens do not come off. Sometimes they do if you're, using
Aggressive
a lot
with
of water, but white paint pens work really well. The problem is with white paint pen,
Yeah, we
can't say
try.
that quickly, is that they don't burn off. And if you don't get all of the residue off, you're going to have a white paint pen mark on your glass.
Got it. Got it.
Next one,
There's-
Kat.
Oh, I was
That's
gonna
a
say,
cool
there's
idea.
one that I do on my tile saw, but I won't do it on anybody else's, is I'll put like Blistex over the Sharpie line. But I'm not sure what that does to the inside of my tile saw.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't like the gooey feel.
Has
Yeah,
anyone tried grease pencils? Do they work?
No,
they don't
They
stick.
go
do
right
they?
off.
yeah,
Thank
they don't work. I use them when I did stained glass, but they don't really work for this.
Oh,
Paul used to suggest drawing with a Sharpie and then going over it with a chapstick for that same thing before using the tile saw. So it makes me think that would be okay for the tile saw, that it wouldn't hurt the tile saw. Or I don't
Yeah.
know that he
So-
would have recommended it.
It doesn't work
So
as
if
well
you-
as these methods.
Right.
It really
In-
doesn't.
In
Well, another
some,
thing you can use is one of those wax rings that they put under a toilet.
oh, the
and
O-rings.
It lasts,
Yeah.
that wax ring lasts forever.
yeah, wax rings. They're like $4 or something. It's
Yeah.
So what
amazing.
we found in Sun City's stained glass studio, they use chapstick to keep the lines on the glass for
Yeah.
stained glass too. And what happens is the little grinders, not the lap grinders, the other grinders with the little round center piece in them, that we found out that they were always, the grinder bits were getting really gunked up bad with the chapstick. So they always had to keep a broken terracotta plant around and run it over that grinder to get all the chapstick off of it so the bit didn't go bad as fast. So
Oh my goodness.
it does have a residue buildup, but it's a, it's cost benefit analysis, I guess.
That's what I do. All right. You have a next one?
You guys, we have a question online,
Sure.
kind of back of the lap grinder thing. Somebody's asking, is there a way to stop or fix a disc that's delaminating?
Ooh.
I've never heard of that.
I'm not sure what it is.
Because the back
What
of
is
it is just that soft kind of magnetic, like magnet, right?
Yeah, I don't know if they mean it's that or the diamonds are starting to come off or what. I don't know.
I would say if it's the magnet on the back, you could probably just use an adhesive of some sort of a glue.
I would put in a call to Mark at his
Yes.
glass work.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
Yeah, that's a better idea. Because I think there's a liability to that too if it goes flying off of the lap.
Well, it also may be on warranty of some kind.
Yeah. Possibly. Okay. Ready for the next one, Kim?
Uh-huh. So that's what that looked right before I cut it.
Looks good.
Something I do when I'm cold working is to keep my edges rounded somewhat. And so the corners and the sharp edges carry stress, and you're more likely to get a chip on your corners.
Yeah.
So when I am working on the lap grinder, I make sure that my corners are ever so slightly rounded. And I also rotate the glass to and away from me so that the edges also have a tiny roll on them.
That idea.
Something else, next one, Kat?
Oh, I was going to add to that. Let's see.
Oh,
Yeah, I was going to add to that too with jewelry. So a long time ago, I thought it was really cool to have jewelry that had like those really straight edges and sharp corners. And I found if they ever fell, if they were ever dropped, those corners immediately break off.
Mhm.
So having that rounded corner is perfect for jewelry as well.
And it doesn't have to be massively round, just a little bit gone off.
just a little bit, just a
Yeah.
little, just take that point off.
We have
One
a
of-
dish
one
that,
Go ahead, Gail.
we have a dish, Jay and I, that proves your point very strongly. We're just sitting there. One day we walked by it and look what's on the table. The corner fell off that dish.
Oh,
You're kidding. Oh.
Nobody touched it or anything. It just decided to do it.
One of the things that I do with corners, in order to what I had early on was that all my corners looked a little different. And so I count. And so when I do corners, I go 1, 2, 3, and then I move to the next corner and I go 1, 2, 3. And as long as I'm using the same sort of cadence and the same count, when I'm done with that lap grinder, all the corners look pretty much the same.
You can also do that on the wet belt sander and get
Absolutely.
a little bit less material removed.
Yeah.
that's a good idea. You ready for the next one?
Uh-huh. I also hand lap these as I'm cold working, and every time I have a disc change, I hand lap or diamond hand pads, and I just run the diamonds, the 220 diamond pad along all of the edges and all of the corners on front and back. And next one, Kat.
Okay.
And I always have the back toward me. And that way, if the hand pad slips in my hand, I don't put nice gouges on the front of my glass. I do it on the back. And so I would even just reach around and hit the front edges with the hand pad while the glass is facing away from me.
That's a good idea.
So do you do this in addition to what you do on the lap grinder, or this is a different way to do it?
I do both.
Thank you.
I do both. I just feel better knowing that my edges are nicely rounded in a controlled way. And this allows me to kind of check in on what is my, what do my surfaces look like? Especially on round ones, you don't want facets. And so while I am doing this little bit of hand pad work, I can kind of see where I'm going with my, my trimming and my grinding, and how does it line up with the circle that I have drawn on it and then done with the Sharpie. Like you can see down here in the little right-hand corner, this one needs to go back on because I have some of the markers still showing.
Oh.
Kim, how often do you replace your hand pads, or have you ever?
I have never replaced my hand pads, and the ones at the studio I think are starting to look pretty sad.
Oh, they're awful. They're awful.
Yeah. I don't know the answer to that, Lori, because I use mine so seldom because I use yours.
Great.
So I'm just not sure. But you can tell when they start looking worn out, you know, and people who don't know how to hand pad, and they go back and forth instead of doing circles, you wear your pad out so much faster. And you can sometimes see little grooves along the diamond surface where, you know, it's been eroded away. So I think doing them properly, using them properly goes a long way toward giving them life.
Okay, that's a good answer.
That's hard to do in a studio sometimes, in a cold working studio.
Yeah. Yeah.
Too many hands in the pot.
Yep.
Yeah. Ready?
Uh-huh.
All right.
Industrial strength vinegar, which I'd never even heard of until fairly recently. I never had good luck getting the kiln wash off my dots or anything else, but evidently this is a cleaning solution that is stronger, and supposedly it just takes it right off. So you just soak your dots, give them a shake, take them out.
Yeah, you gotta do it in a really well ventilated area, because I use agricultural vinegar, which is 20%. And even that is pretty darn strong. It does work really well. But 75, I don't think I've ever seen 75% vinegar. But it is really, really strong, and it will fume you.
That's a technical term.
Yeah.
Gag you.
In a non-well ventilated area, you'll wish you were dead.
We're outside.
Dead.
And where do you get this?
I just saw it on Amazon.
This industrial?
Yeah, it was for agricultural.
Most of the agriculture is around 20 to 30%. You can get that at Callahan's in Austin, Ace Hardware. You can get it any hardware store that supplies for farms.
And when I look on Amazon, it's in many different percentages. Like I see a small bottle for 75, another bottle for 30, another one for 45. So they've got it in all strengths, it looks like. What's the percentage of yours, Lori?
I use 20%.
And that's enough.
And I still have to kind of cut it. Most of the stuff that you get in the stores is about 5.
Got it.
I think 20%, and you have to just soak it for a long time. 20% is, I think what we've got at the studio is 20 to 30%. But I've never seen 75%, and that's got to be pretty powerful. And you've got to protect your hands, wear gloves, wear a face mask, because you don't want to breathe this stuff.
And probably neutralize it when you're done with baking soda, I would guess.
And they call it concentrated on the 75%.
Yeah, this particular product looks like you dilute it.
Yeah.
Right, right. Yeah. Good to know.
Yeah.
How to clean out your nasal passage.
Right. It'll remove your nasal passages.
Right. Okay, you ready for the next one?
Uh-huh. So this was a picture somebody sent me this week with bullseye racks for her stringers that she bought from Bullseye, and it's sitting on a little rolling cart from Harbor Freight. So this link below goes to Harbor Freight's site with several different rolling carts, different sizes. Some have drawers, some have two shelves, all kinds of rolling carts that are not very expensive, like less than $100, most of them.
Wow.
And I just really like this for moving it around, having it on wheels, getting it where you need to go. And she's got her cleaning supplies and stuff below it. I really like that.
I like that. Yeah, in fact, I'm trying to figure out how to pack mine without breaking them. And none of the moving boxes are big enough because they're so long. So unless I lay them flat, and I'm afraid to do that.
What about in a tube, an industrial tube, Kat?
Yeah, I know like Container Store has tubes that you could use for like house plans or whatever. That's one possibility I looked at. Another one was to take maybe PVC pipes and not for everyday storage, but take like PVC pipes, cut a section that's the same length as a tube, and then cap it on both ends. Because you could, cut the pipe and then have the two end caps.
Yeah,
Lori,
good idea.
That might be. a
Kat,
way
you want to move your stringer tubes from one place to another?
Yeah, I'm moving to Colorado.
Okay, well, what I did, and I took the UPS mailing boxes,
Yeah.
the kind of the skinny long ones, and I put and I stuffed the stringers in there, and then I put one over the other, so that kind of made it folded in. I don't know if I'm explaining that properly.
Yeah. No, it
And
makes sense.
worked. Of course, you're not supposed to do that with the US mail, but I did, and it works beautifully to cart stringer back and forth.
hey, Lori,
Yes.
What?
You know it.
what do they look like when they come in from Bullseye? Are they on their side?
They're on their
the
sides,
crate?
and Bullseye boxes are really great because they're just they're these,
They're custom made.
well, they're
They're
stringer
the
boxes,
same
and you can
length as
just
the
store
stringer
them on
box.
their sides and just Sharpie the plastic top with what they are, so you can store them on the side, which is what we do.
Yeah.
Right. But when they came in on the crate, were they horizontal or vertical?
Horizontal. They were
it.
horizontal.
And the boxes are just as long as the stringer tube,
Yeah.
there's
so
they're
they just
custom
stack on top of
sizes.
one another.
Right.
And you can probably get, I don't know, 15 or 20 tubes in a given box. That's how Richard Parrish stores his. He stores
Okay.
them on a wire rack horizontally
Kat, I
by number.
would visit your local fused glass store, Kat, and see if they have any empty boxes that stringers came in.
I will
We
do that. I
might.
need to come do a Vitrograph pull.
Yeah, especially a studio that should be getting their crate order in another day or two.
Make sure
because
they
the-
save them out. Yeah.
Because the stupid truck was a few minutes before we opened and disappeared on us before they dropped off the crate order.
They're not very patient.
And
Right.
it wasn't the usual delivery guy, so they didn't know when to really be there.
No.
Notwithstanding that folks were, waving their arms and running behind them.
Funny. Is that what Christine was doing?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's funny.
That is funny.
See you next time.
So hopefully Tuesday that crate order will actually be delivered. I don't think they'll deliver it tomorrow, but hopefully Tuesday.
Right. Hopefully they won't come back Monday.
Yeah.
They've
Christine was
done
supposed to
that.
get a call back. I don't know what arrangement was made.
So what you're saying is I should take a break from packing and come to my local studio. I think that's a great
Yeah.
idea.
I do
Yeah.
too, but then you've got boxes that you can pack other stuff in.
And, and when you're
Ooh.
there, I want you to go have a seat for a little bit.
I will try out the new seats.
Okay. Any color you want.
Okay, sounds good.
This
So-
is cool.
Yeah, Kim, where'd you find this? Or where did this come
CDs?
from?
Somebody sent this to me this week and the link she provided went to the image, but not to the website. So I have no idea on Amazon where to find this because there are 90,000 shelf units up there.
I think I can
Oh,
find it.
They look like they hold CDs, Cat.
It is a CD media cabinet,
Right.
and it holds so many bottles of frit. It's really great.
I love how shallow it
Nice.
is and it doesn't, come too far
Yeah.
forward into the
Yeah.
room.
I
Right.
The
like
challenge though with something like that is that if you have all four types of frit, powder, fine, that takes up a whole shelf and more for one color.
Yeah.
So
Well, you either get depth or width and you add more, or you get deeper ones, I guess.
Yeah.
But it does look like a CD holder.
it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Mhm.
I could
Okay.
use a couple of these. Mm.
Yeah, me too. Since I'm about to have to design a studio. All right. There is, okay, and I did find one on Amazon, looking it up right now. It's not on here. It looks like it's a similar one. It doesn't have as many shelves though. This one's about $110, but it says it holds 1,080 CDs. So
Hmm.
All right, do the quick math, Kat. What's the equivalent for frit jars? 1 pound.
I'll get right back to you.
Okay.
Ooh. Oh, there's some beautiful ones. Okay, so the search on Amazon is going to be CD bookcase is what I use to find something.
This cost me $140.
That's awesome. That's not bad at all.
How tall is it?
It's over 6 feet.
Oh, wow.
Is yours
Wow.
completely full?
Yeah, I have 2 of them.
Yeah. That's a lot.
And then what I did on top is I put a shelf. I attached a like a melamine shelf that's wider than this, and that's where I put my 5-pound jars. So I just screwed it into the top of it.
I wonder if IKEA has something like that.
Okay, I have found the okay, the search term. I'll put it here in the list. It's Atlantic Oscar. It's OSKAR adjustable media cabinet.
Yeah, that
That's
sounds
what it
right.
is. And it's $140, and it comes in dark brown or in this lighter color. So let me grab this. Okay, you ready for the next one?
Yeah.
All right.
We're brushing our teeth.
We're brushing our teeth. Freeze and fuse, you tap your mold to make the bubbles go to the top.
Mhm.
This will help you do that.
Vibrator works a lot better. Sorry, this does.
Love it. So
I also use an old retired Sonicare toothbrush
Yes.
when I get grit in the little tiny holes that are made by the champagne bubbles. And,
yes.
if you can't dig those out, a lot of times a Sonicare toothbrush will vibrate those out. I haven't had as good luck with a regular brush, but there's something about the high supersonic vibrations from a Sonicare that will lift that grit out and float it away.
Hmm.
Those
So
are
you don't
handy
have
for
to
everything.
tap your mold anymore to get all the bubbles to come up.
Oh,
Cool.
cool. And I did notice that Jim actually put the link to the bookcase in the chat window for you guys.
Excellent.
So thank you, Jim. Okay, ready for the next one?
Yes, please.
Oops. Ah, yes.
So Kat, you gave me a different picture, but I couldn't find it. And so this was your idea about using the small clear candle holders to store and be able to see your little bits of glass.
Yeah.
And
And
I
they're
think
usually super cheap. It'll be like 4 or 5 votive holders, and they're in different shapes and sizes. They change over time. They never have the same stuff, but generally, if you look in their candle section, you'll find cool stuff for sorting. Very cool. Ready?
Huh?
Ah. That's a cool idea.
In
You
fire,
could use,
right?
you could use that to transfer 'em.
Stringers.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
these are also really good for storing stringers. You got to make sure though, because the weight of the stringers can't, if you only use the adhesive, you've got to really attach them well.
On the
Right.
Because I
wall.
tried this and they collapsed.
They
And I'm wondering about the bottom, like how strong is that bottom if it would support?
You don't do, you do them horizontally, not vertical. You do them through the holes vertically.
stand them,
Oh,
stand them in the holes.
Yeah, it's vertical, not horizontal.
So
It's,
can you fit
excuse me, it's
two?
horizontal, not vertical.
I get it. Can you fit
Interesting.
two, one in front and one in back that way?
You can do more than two.
interesting.
Don't they have to go all the way through to the other side, Lori?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're very stable because if you look at the holes, for every layer, there's 4 holes. And so
I
you've
get it.
got,
Okay.
I tried to use them for rods because I didn't know how to store my rods.
Yeah.
And because I only used the adhesive as opposed to the
on.
screws, it didn't
Yeah.
hold because the rods were too heavy.
Gotcha.
And the rods all broke?
Not all of them. Some of them.
She made frit from rods. It's a special
Right,
technique.
right.
Well,
right.
I made dots.
There you go.
Dots are good. Oh, this is a good idea too.
This is something you can find at any office supply place.
Well, that's a
Walmart,
great
whatever.
idea.
Yep.
Stack them up. Mhm.
Mm.
That is very cool. Good idea. And for sheets of glass.
Mhm.
Yep.
Mhm.
Oh, lazy Susans.
Lazy Susans.
I
Oh,
love
love
it.
my lazy Susans.
Yeah.
What
okay.
do you use it for? The piece you're working on?
Yes.
It's really, I mean, and Kim, I don't know if you want to talk about this, but when you're powdering something, the ability, particularly if it's fairly large, the ability to get all around it.
Yes.
This is an IKEA, it looks like this is an IKEA. IKEA has these for $12.
That's a good price.
The best place to get really good lazy Susans is either through a good cake decorating supply place where people who do wedding cakes use these, or a pottery place that has very wonderfully German machined, so that if you spin it, it will continue to spin for 3 minutes or more.
Is that like armadillo?
Yeah.
I use a very small one to do my powders on because it lifts it up off the table
Mhm.
and you can get your hands on underneath and you can still spin it.
Mhm.
Cool.
Yeah, you
Where do
can
you
also
find-
use one of those spinning spice racks. And also Home Depot sells a big round wooden one. And then I just bought one of those things that you stick underneath to make it lazy Susan. And it's really big.
What's the smallest size lazy Susan you've ever found?
I think
8 inches?
well, they have the part at Home Depot that's about 4 inches square.
Oh, the wheels. Yeah.
Yeah, and you could put that under any, anything.
Then you don't have to worry about the tabletop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. All right, get another one.
Uh-huh.
Ooh,
Colors.
Right. I know. I love this picture.
right?
Yeah. Great for supplies and tools.
That is a good idea. Okay. Sticky dots.
Sticky dots to organize your bins.
That's a
I
good
have,
idea.
I have too many bins.
I do
um,
too.
And she also cuts up the bullseye catalog and puts those on the outside of the bin so that she knows even more information about what's in them.
What a great idea.
I know, right?
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I need some dots for packing. Okay.
And then
Ah.
this one wins the prize. If all of your fish have died, and I'm thinking about Richard in the UK, who I know does glass and has an aquarium. If your fish die, set this on its side and you can reach in there with your angle grinder or with your small disc grinder to keep everything from spraying all over. I love it. It's a brilliant way to repurpose something that's, you know, big and awkward and doesn't have a lot of pieces.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think I saw on Facebook, someone had taken one of those big tubs that
Yes.
you get at Home Depot or something and cut the
Plastic
front of it up
tubs.
and they put their grinder in it.
That's a good
Yeah,
idea.
I was just gonna say the same thing. One of those big Rubbermaid purple tubs.
Yeah.
They cut one side out of it.
Yeah,
They
that was
didn't
cool.
put it on its side. They put it on its bottom, but it's pretty tall. And they cut
Yeah.
one side out. I thought it was brilliant. You know, that's like, I don't know, under $10.
Right.
Right.
And a
And
lot,
And you
a
just
lot
hose it down.
less heavy than an aquarium, maybe.
Another thing that we
Maybe a little
found,
more durable.
Especially if you haven't managed to kill your fish yet.
we found with the pandemic, everybody's got those 3-sided partitions, like for school desks and things like that. So we bought those to put around our grinder, our ring saw, anything that splashes.
That's a
And
great idea.
covers the back that's in the 2 sides and keeps the water contained.
Are they pretty affordable?
Depends. I mean,
Yeah.
you can get pretty inexpensive ones, but we put a little more money in because we didn't want them to be flimsy and break, so.
Right.
Got it.
You know,
They're
and
made out of
hopefully
clear
next
plexiglass.
year, they will have plenty of them available for all of us because we won't
And
need
there
them
you go.
anymore.
That's right, and they'll be cheaper then.
Yes, yes, because people will be just giving them away. So, and Kim, was that it? That is.
That was
okay.
it.
I have the
Cat had a
cat
couple.
editions. So
I
we'll
have
see-
one when you're done, Kat, if you
yeah,
don't
go
mind.
for it. I'm gonna cue this one up. So
Okay,
for it.
I don't know if this is a good idea or not, but I do it. Someone said that after you're all done powdering, even if you have your vent and all of that on to suck stuff up, that close all your powder and move your stuff and just take a spray bottle of water and mist it around where you've been doing because it catches the powder and pushes it down to the floor.
It's good to know.
Oh,
That makes sense.
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I do it. I sneeze less.
Oh,
There you
good
go.
goodness.
Evidence.
Definitely. Let me see if this will come up. Ah, yes. All right. So these are the cat editions that I whipped up while we were actually presenting. So be like, see if we can get it here. There we go. Okay. So I have a few editions that while I was watching, I came up with some things that I've done in the past. This is actually something that I started using when I lived in Denver before, where I put my glass tack in one of these wash bottles. And so it has this very precision tip. So when you squeeze this gently, it'll push out the glass tack. So you have kind of a precision application of that. And to find that, I don't have a link on these. I'll add the link though. And this one I found on Amazon. So usually you can pick them up in a 6-pack, but I also use them for, you know, having just distilled water, for example. Sometimes they'll say if you're washing your frit, you would rinse it in water, but then you would do the final rinse in distilled water. And so sometimes I would use this with distilled water as well. So that's one option. Oh, this one should have been at the end. Window well, which if you're from Texas, you've probably never seen one of these.
Right.
But when I was in Colorado and my
You need
studio
to
was,
advance because I don't know what that is.
what's
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, you need to advance the slide. We're still on the wash bottle.
That's
Move on.
interesting. Hold on. I did advance. One.
We're still
seeing
seeing,
the-
we're
the
still
wash
seeing
bottle
it.
for
Okay,
glass
hold
Wash
on.
bottle.
Let me figure out what it
Yeah,
is.
There we go.
there's a window well.
Okay, hold on. Can you see that?
That's where all the
Yeah.
spiders grow.
Yes, it is.
I know what that is.
It's a
Yes.
window well, yeah.
Oh, hold
Are you
on.
talking about the cover that goes over it?
Nope, hold on. Let me
Yeah,
describe
I've
it
been
to
seeing
you
one of
and
those
tell you
for
what it is.
years.
Okay, so my studio was down in the basement and it had a window because it's required for fire safety or whatever. But I put my tile saw out the window, and anytime I needed to cut on my tile saw, I would
Oh,
just
there
open
you
the
go.
window and I would cut on my tile saw and then just close the window.
Just,
So-
just spray for, I
It's
can't tell you.
brilliant, but I don't think we can do that in Texas.
we're
And
going
Pat-
for- what's that?
Spider spray, whatever you do, there's a million spiders that live in those wells.
Right?
And they resent you interrupting their space. And some of those little recluse can do a lot of damage.
Yeah, they can. So
Yeah.
anyway, but not applicable for Texas in most places, I would guess. But in Colorado,
Okay.
it was quite handy and it kept my studio neat and tidy.
You're
Right.
just bragging.
Yes, I am. Neener. Okay.
Yeah.
Can
Near,
you guys see the
hello,
next one?
near.
Do you see
Yeah.
the circle guide? Okay.
Not
No,
yet.
not yet.
Ah,
no,
yeah,
show
it's
the
doing
window
something
well.
weird. Hold on.
Oh,
I'm
there.
gonna- Hold on. I'm going to stop share and reshare it and see.
It came up at the very end. There you go. We got it.
Okay. We'll see if, no, it's doing the same thing.
No, we can see it now. We
No,
see
Okay.
it.
It's not, when I advance to the next one though, it's not going to show it. Anyway,
Right.
I use one of these to gauge the size of my dots. So if I
Oh,
needed to
good
have a bunch of
idea.
dots that were the same size, I would use one of these and just kind of pass the dots through it to figure out what the size was.
Right. And that's a regular office supply product.
Yeah, you can pick these
Do
up at Hobby Lobby or Michael's or Office Max.
Yeah, Office Depot too. Yeah.
Kat, do you use this to gauge your square that you fire to make that size?
No, because sometimes I would find that I had variations in the sizes of the squares. So even if
Gotcha.
I cut the squares what I thought was the same size, sometimes the dots would be slightly different
Okay.
size when they were fired. And so I would just pass them through here, or actually just put the dot on the table and push this down over the dot and find out what size it was.
Okay.
So
It's a good
Or-
Where did you
idea.
find that?
just that one was on Amazon. Another thing that you can do is if you've got like a Cricut, is you could cut cardstock. So you could even make some sort of a sorting, like a sorting gauge with different layers, like maybe one layer, they're a 1/4 inch, the other layer, they're 3/8 of an inch, and then you could pass it through different ones. That's a little bit more complicated, but you get the idea. You can make your own gauge with a Cricut.
Right.
Okay,
Right,
it's not going to let me advance again, I'm guessing. You guys can't see the next one, right?
Not yet.
No
Ah!
change.
Hold on, I'm gonna
Now,
actually,
we got
There we
it
go.
now.
what's that?
Oh, there it is.
We got
Oh,
it.
now
We
it's
had it.
easier.
Then
I'm gonna
you-
share my desktop instead.
There you go. We
Oh,
can see
that-
it there.
You can
So-
probably see that.
Explain this.
Okay.
Amanda.
So if you were washing powders and trying to get all of the fines out of there, what you can do is you wash it in cups of water and just kind of pour off the cloudy liquid. So you swirl it around in a cup, pour off the cloudy liquid, and then in the final stage, you actually pour that through a coffee filter. And so that, when I use it, I'm actually using it for enamels, because if you want absolutely transparent enamels, you have to wash your enamels. But it's the same as powder for glass.
So
if you want-
instead of the coffee pot here, can you not use the single serve Melita that goes over a coffee cup?
Yeah, you can use that one too. And
Yeah,
that one just
okay.
uses a little bit smaller coffee filter.
You don't need that big of filters, all I'm saying. I'm
No,
asking,
you
I don't
don't.
know.
And they make
Yeah,
one
okay.
that's a single cup size, but I just grabbed this one off of Amazon.
It
It's
works. It
pour
makes
over-
more sense this way.
Yeah, pour over brewing cone. HEB actually carries these,
Mm-hmm.
and they're dirt cheap. They're probably like maybe $6. I think with the coffee pot was like 11 or 12. So kind of handy.
All right. So here's what I don't understand.
Yeah.
So you put the powder in the filter.
You put the powder in a cup of water first. So you're swirling it
Stir it
around.
up.
And
Okay.
I'll add a video. I'll add a link to the video. But
Okay.
basically you're taking a cup of water, you put your powder in, and the powder sinks to the bottom. And then
Got
you
it.
swirl it around, and all of the fines, that dust comes up to the top, and you pour that off without pouring out the powder. And you can do
Oh, okay.
you can do this also with fine frit
Yeah.
or coarse frit even, but you swirl it around in the water, you pour off these, the cloudiness, and you keep washing it over and over until you pour that off, and when you add water, it's clear. And then in the very
Okay.
last step, generally you would end up washing with distilled water to get any of those, anything that would
Minerals, yeah.
maybe react with your color. And then you would
Right.
pour it into your coffee filter to drain off the rest of everything else that was left.
And
Okay,
can you just
so-
let it sit there and dry inside the
You can.
filter?
Yeah, you can. Or what I do is I actually pull out the whole filter and then basically break it open on one of the seams and then lay it out and let it dry that way. So
And then put it back in whatever container.
yeah, and I have a video that's that, and then you mark your container to tell that this is washed powder or washed frit.
That would be helpful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Now this one is something new, and you guys, I don't know if you guys are getting this ad on Facebook, but I got the ad about the time I was taking Richard Parrish's color class, which makes me wonder if Facebook was spying on me while I was in Richard Parrish's class. But
Possible.
yeah, but it's this little tiny thing. It kind of looks like a diamond, but you hold it up to the wall or to a piece of glass or anything, and it will tell you what the color is. Like if you were trying to color match, and then you can also take it and use those colors then to find complementary colors. But
Can
if
you
you,
use it like if somebody, say somebody's just painted a wall that had a lot of holes in it for wiring for a kiln,
yeah,
and they got patched, and we used the original paint, but it's not the same color as the wall paint anymore.
yeah,
And so can you use this to take, without tearing a part of your wall off,
yeah,
to get
you
to
should.
get a
but
sample? Can you use this accurately enough to get a sample for paint?
That's what it was designed for. I think this one's more designed for designers. I think this one's about 99 bucks. There is a professional version though that's several $100s. And I think that one's used for interior designers with paint. Although you can actually download an app that will let this work with paint, but I don't know how accurate it is.
Got it.
But if you were to take a piece of glass and say, I want to, or, maybe I'm taking a piece of glass and I wanted to maybe match my wall color to this piece of glass, you can find out what paint color it is, or even like the RGB color. It's a way to kind of quantify the color of something. And I did buy one and it's actually pretty cool. So.
I do see one on Amazon that's really cheap for $59, but that doesn't mean it does a good job.
Yeah. Yeah, this one was, they're doing a lot of Facebook advertising and they're running some specials. I think I got mine for $79 on a special, but it's kind of settled out at $99. But it's
Right.
nice. It's well done. So
Right.
So we could all repaint our houses the color of bullseye glass?
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I think my
Only,
wall
only
color
it wouldn't
is
be as
cyan.
pretty.
Yeah.
No, it wouldn't be as pretty.
Okay. And then somebody mentioned the sugar rider, so I went ahead
Walton,
and added
yeah.
it. So it looks like it would sift, and I know Kim said something about that the line is thicker than
Oh,
what
you
she was
squeeze
talking.
it too.
Oh, is it? So is this not motorized or is it motorized?
No,
Doesn't
it's
look
not.
like it. It doesn't look like it.
It's not motorized.
Okay. Well, so I know Kim was
Still
saying
could work.
the hole is a little bit big, so that's where I added these guys as a
The tip.
possibility.
Right, the nozzle tips.
Yeah, so you might be able to glue one of these on the tip, maybe use your hot melt glue gun, something like that. But one of the nice things about these nozzles is that you can see it's in 0.2 millimeters, 0.3 millimeters, 0.56, 8, 4. You get a bunch of 0.4 millimeter nozzles, and then the largest is 1 millimeter.
You might be able to snap off that blue tip on it and screw this one in place,
Yeah,
depending on how big a cut that is.
Yeah, but I would think that you might want to interchange these. I don't know how you could do that, but these are just standard nozzles for a 3D printer, one of the Ender ones that we have. And these are like $7 for an assortment, so it's not expensive. But you might be able to repurpose that for doing something with glass.
Interesting.
What was the other one called? A spice?
Oh, this Kim
Pen?
had a spice pen.
The other one is
Okay.
a spice pen, yeah.
Yeah, and you might be able to attach one of these guys to the
that.
spice pen as well.
Hmm.
That's a
I
possibility.
typed spice
I would
pen
think
and it
also
went to
a glass
space
line,
pen.
a glass line or a color line paint bottle, maybe
Yeah.
draw a thinner line.
That's a possibility. But anyway, it was, as we were talking about it, I've got a bunch of these for my 3D printer because you change them out pretty frequently, or not frequently, but occasionally. So, but they're cheap. They're super cheap. And
That's the way we like that word.
we do. Okay. Renee says, angle grinders are so messy. And then Anne says, great show, friends. Sorry, but she had to sign off. So we're all good. Anyway,
Angle
anybody else
grinders
have-
are messy and they are incredibly wet, but they do provide a beautiful finish.
Right. And I can say too, I actually did hack a sandblaster once because I was feeling, budget pinched and decided to make my own sandblaster. So
Oh, I'm
Other
so
than
sorry.
etching cream.
and what I used was a clear, like a transparent plastic container that had a lid. And I cut holes and attached rubber gloves to it and then ran the hose for the sandblaster on the inside. If you want something, you could even put like a piece of glass on the top. I would recommend going into the studio and using theirs because it's much better quality. But if you needed like a quick and dirty setup, you could kind of hack a sandblaster. So let's see.
You
Although
can
you
also
did
great.
you can also go to Home Depot and get a little, miniature pressurized sandblaster for like $12.
Oh,
Doesn't
right.
do very much, but you can get them.
Yeah. And there are portable sandblasters, but it's like I said, it's a hack. I wouldn't do it all the time. There's, in fact, I'll show you one.
It depends on how desperate you are.
Yeah. I was kind of desperate and I was a student, so I didn't have the budget to do the real thing. But I got something like this where it's like a little sandblasting kit with a hose.
For the air gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you would attach that to your compressor, which I just happened to have one as a student. I had a portable compressor because, doesn't everybody? But
Oh, we do.
I did.
We do, but it's to blow up the tires in the car.
I had a little 1 horsepower little air compressor that wasn't any bigger than this. I used to, carried it around, had a little handle. It was great.
Mine was for my my apartment size nail gun because
It worked.
when one
I
has
hope.
a brad nailer and a small compressor, one can build anything. And a battery operated saw. So anyway,
Battery operated.
right? Anybody got
Yeah,
anything else?
You probably went through a lot of batteries for a battery operated saw.
Oh, it's the rechargeable one.
Oh, I get it. Okay.
So, yeah, it's kind of the thing I was teaching Christine Fish earlier last summer, I guess, when we were working together. It was basically how could you build furniture with only like a battery operated circular saw and then, like a small nail gun, or something called a Craig jig, which is really cool for putting together furniture. So.
Okay, well, I'm going to sign off.
Me too.
Go love on my puppy,
Oh.
and I'll see you guys soon.